So there's a massive mistake that I used to make back when I first started learning to code. When I was first starting learning to code, sometimes I would feel really motivated to learn something, especially in the beginning. I had these ideas in mind about like, I'm gonna get a really nice job and like all of that, switch careers, which did end up happening. But in the beginning, it was very easy to be motivated by this because I just had these lofty goals in mind. But then once I actually started doing it, little by little, I started realizing how difficult it actually is to effectively learn to code. And little by little, there were less and less of those moments when I was feeling really motivated. And it became harder and harder to actually get myself to do the work, which I knew I obviously had to do. And so I started asking myself the question of how can I get myself to be more motivated so that I can reach all these lofty goals I had in mind much faster. And at some point I realized that that was a completely wrong question to be asking.
Motivation is the thing that most people wait for before they take any sort of action. And most people think that motivation is good, it's something that you want to achieve something. But motivation is actually bad. Because what is motivation? Motivation is essentially just an emotion. It is one part of your brain that is telling you what it wants you to do at any given moment. But the problem here is the side of your brain that's controlled this emotion of motivation is not telling you to do the things that you should actually be doing for your long-term benefit. The way I think about this is that you are here and over here are your goals, and in between there is a bunch of action that needs to be done for you to get there. Let's say for the sake of this example that you need to take 10,000 actions, whatever that means, to reach this goal, to bridge this gap. But if you wait for motivation, you actually only end up doing probably like 20% of all of these actions, because the fact is that you are never going to always be motivated. You're probably only going to be motivated like 20% of the time, which leads to the fact that you only end up taking like 20% of the actions that you need to take. So what we need to figure out is a way for us to do the rest of this action, the rest of these 8,000 actions, even when you're not motivated. We need to essentially learn to bypass this emotion of motivation. The best way to think about it is that there's essentially two sides to your brain. On one hand, there's this side of the brain which we've been talking about that is controlled by motivation, that's controlled by emotion, and this side of the brain is sort of evil and pleasure seeking, and it always is just telling you to do the things that will give you most pleasure at that particular moment. So it's a very short-term focused part of your brain. And for most people, this is the side of the brain that controls pretty much all your action, which is not very good for you. But then you've got this other side of the brain, which is really thinks about the long term. It's really like the rational, responsible guy who's telling you what you should actually be doing rather than what you want to be doing. But unfortunately, in most people's brain, it is this emotional, short-term brain that is a lot more powerful because they have a very potent weapon called dopamine.
Dopamine is essentially the most powerful hormone that is in your body in terms of getting you to do stuff. It's the hormone of motivation and also the hormone of pleasure. The reason we evolved to have this hormone as humans is because obviously to survive we needed to be motivated to do certain things like go hunt animals or whatever. But in the modern world, things are very different. So that's why dopamine is very short-term focused. Things that give you dopamine are things like eating sugar. Back in the caveman days, if you found sugar, if you found this amazing energy source, that was like the best thing in the world. Nowadays, in the modern world, because of all the abundance we have, the things that give you these dopamine rushes are not actually what you should be pursuing all the time. And so that is why it's crucial that you learn to not be controlled by the things that give you dopamine, the things that make you feel good in the moment. Because if you want to achieve long-term success, if you want to learn anything, like learn to code, you can't always just be seeking out short-term pleasure. You need to start thinking about long-term pleasure instead.
Now, yes, sometimes the right things will give you dopamine as well, like doing good work also gives you dopamine and also makes you feel good, but most of the time they won't, because most of the time you always have some things, some action that you can take that will give you more pleasure in the moment. But these actions are almost never the actions that will actually lead to you reaching your goals, reaching your purpose, and getting long-term benefits. So that is why you need to stop listening to this motivational side of your brain. The most important thing you need to learn is to stop seeking short-term gratification and instead start seeking long-term gratification. If you learn to code, if you do it successfully, your life will be so much better in the long term. You're gonna have so much more fulfillment when you've mastered this really hard skill and you can do all the cool things that you can do with it. And probably you will also have a really great career, which will just generally improve your life in the long term. But to get here, you first need to do the hard work, and to adopt this, you need to have a discipline, which essentially just means listening to this rational side of the brain, always thinking, what is the long-term best thing for me to do right now? And if you can't do this by sheer willpower, there's a couple of sort of tricks that you can do to try to sort of cheat this pleasure seeker short-term brain into thinking that what your long-term brain is telling you is actually what will give you more short-term pleasure as well.
When I was young, I was addicted to video games. The thing I would always do when I came home from school was start playing video games, and the particular kinds of video games I like the most are ones where you can make progress. If any of you played PlayStation, you know, like all the trophies that you can win, and then at the end you get the platinum trophy or whatever. I was addicted to collecting all of these trophies and getting all of these achievements and just like beating the hardest levels and all of that. What I want you to do, and what I did personally, think about learning new things relating to coding as like getting trophies or getting achievements or like unlocking higher levels. Because when I do this, I find that I can sort of activate this part of my brain that's addicted to this progress, that's addicted to playing this game and trying to win it, except I can do it in something useful, which is coding. So whenever I am following my self-taught computer science path, for example, whenever I complete a course, it's like I've completed the level, and as a result, I've now unlocked all these next level, these new, more advanced courses relating to that topic, for example. And this way, almost like trick your brain, become addicted about the fact that you're trying to win this game of getting really good at coding computer science. And whenever I was playing all these video games, it wasn't always about the end result, because when you win the game or when you get to the end of the level, then you're just like, okay, well, what now? I guess I'll just go start the next game, right? It was always about the process. It was always about the actual pursuit of those higher levels, not the higher levels in and of themselves. If you can start thinking about the process of learning to code in this same way, because you're enjoying the process, you actually want to do it, that is actually the only way to sustainably achieve the level of success that you will need to like get a good job and a higher salary or any of those things that you probably started this process for.
But most of the time, what you specifically need to do is not even think about motivation at all, to forget motivation and simply do the hard work even when you don't feel like it.
There's one more thing that's absolutely crucial for your productivity that most people neglect, and that's getting quality sleep. Because lower quality sleep actually lowers a lot of your important hormones, like for example testosterone, which makes you less likely to want to do the hard things that are necessary. And I definitely feel this whenever I don't sleep well, the entire next day is pretty much wasted. My workouts suck and I just can't get myself to do the things that I need to do. So I had a bit of a problem when I moved into this current flat with 3 of my friends who I love you guys, but they don't exactly share my sleeping pattern and they can be very loud in the times when I actually want to go to sleep. That was until Soundcore reached out to me with these, the Sleep A10 earbuds. They're basically earbuds that are designed with some of the best noise cancelling technology out there. The 4-point noise masking system can block out up to 35 decibels of noise, which is 15 decibels more than regular sleep earbuds, and exactly what I need to protect my ears from my loud flatmates. The Sleep A10s come in this really sleek case, and as the name suggests, they're designed to be the perfect sleep product, blocking out all unwanted noise, and they also offer unlimited relaxing content through their app that you can also use to record your sleep. So even if you're in noisy environments like me, your sleep never has to be compromised. And their sleep focus also shows in their design, where they've accommodated even side sleepers by making these their smallest earbuds to date. But these are not just for sleeping, and this is the part that I was most surprised about. I spent some time comparing the sound quality of these to my current AirPods Pro, and I have to say that it's actually better, and even like much better, especially the bass. So I think I've literally now switched to these as my main day-to-day earbuds. So if you want to start getting quality uninterrupted sleep, or you just want some really nice earbuds, for example, to focus while you're working, you can check out the Soundcore Sleep A10s from the first line of the description today. Thank you for Soundcore for sponsoring this part of the video. This is all really powerful stuff. Like if you just manage to internalize what I've said in this video about becoming disciplined rather than just thinking about motivation, like doing things to gamify the process and to actually make the process more enjoyable, where you don't need to wait to be motivated because you actually want to do the action. It's really powerful. But in order to apply this, obviously you also need to know actually what you should apply it to. There's so many different courses, so many different resources, and I'm sure you're asking yourself, what is like a very sustainable path I can take from complete beginner into absolute mastery? I built a path like this for myself, and I share exactly what that path is. There's like a full template that I share to you that you can just go and follow, as well as the actual practical tips of how I complete online courses in this video right here. These two videos together are going to be super powerful, so I highly recommend you go watch this video right now after this one.